Unfortunately, there are a lot of, well, unethical insurance agents in our industry. Fortunately, if you follow the steps that I'm about to share with you in this video, you're going to be able to make easy sales by replacing those fraudulently written policies. And look, I know nobody's perfect, so yeah, honest mistakes get made too. Hey, guys, it happens. But that's going to be to your benefit. This is when I'm going to ask that you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. We're putting out a lot of new content, guys, like all the time. And stick around until the end of this video, and I'm going to show you how to get some pretty cool stuff. Both I Am Your Policy and the guarantees of whole life insurance. And if you use these tools the way that I do, they can both help you close more sales during your final expense presentation and, well, even after, keep the client on the books. So guys, let's go ahead and roll the intro, and we're going to talk about replacing clean sheeted policies. When I first got into the industry years ago selling life insurance, there was a term called clean sheeting that I had heard maybe a few times in the first couple of years. I had no idea what it was, and eventually when I found out what it was, I was pretty shook. What clean sheeting is when you have a client that discloses their health conditions and you hide some of them or part of it or even one of them on an application. In other words, in most cases, you're trying to get a client a product that they really shouldn't get approved for. And by agents doing this, they understand that there is a 2-year contestability period. So let me just explain how that works. If you're a licensed agent, you kind of should know how that works. What you may not realize, and let me just say, is when a life insurance company approves an insurance product, life insurance, they have up to 2 years to change their mind. Yeah, even if there's nothing wrong with the client, which that's not what usually happens. So here's a perfect example, Americo. If you're leading with Americo, you might be in some trouble. You might be. We've seen over the years what Americo will do, and it's not about clean sheeting, it's about that 2-year contestability and the insurance company changing their mind. On some of the bigger premiums, what they will tend to do is in the second year that the client's been on the books, they may do another MIB or another prescription check. And if they see something different than the first check or something they don't like, what they can actually do is give the client back all the money, rescind the policy, and now the agent that sold that, and this is what scares me about Americo because they do this, the agent that sold that policy has to pay his commission back. That's happened to several agents I know. It happened to my wife on a big sale that she sold. It was like a $250 premium for I think it was like a mortgage protection type of term life product that they have. Beware, some companies can do this. So what am I getting to? We're getting back to that whole clean sheeting nonsense. So when an agent does this, he's got to realize, hey, if for some reason something comes up, that policy can be rescinded. But that's not the worst part. The worst thing is what could happen is the client could pass away from said health condition that was hidden. Now the insurance company in the first 2 years has the right to do all the background check they want. They can go to every doctor, they can ask for doctor reports. I mean, they can do a series of background checks. And if they see something that doesn't match with the answers on the application or the underwriting, they will not pay the insured. They will not pay the death benefit to the beneficiary. So that's the kind of danger that agents are putting their clients into when they do the clean sheeting. And if you're not exactly sure how it works, so back when I was selling universal life insurance, when I was a Hartford agent, it was a fully underwritten product. If the client was real young and super healthy, we could actually do like a mouth swab for a little saliva. And in some cases, I believe we didn't even need the mouth swab, depending on how young they are. They would just do the MIB and the script check. But one of the things that your fully underwritten stuff is going to do is they're going to make sure you do your underwriting right. So there's no clean sheeting on that fully underwritten stuff. It's not going to happen. You know, a paramedic is going to go to the client's house. They're going to ask them to hop on a scale. They're going to do a whole, they're going to have them, you know, urine in a cup. They're going to take a saliva sample. They're going to do a full background check. They're going to even contact their doctor and get more information before they do the underwriting. One of the things that we love about selling final expense is that there's no full underwriting. It is a simplified issue type of process. And there's term life products that do this also. With most of the final expense carriers, what they'll do is they'll do a medical MIB, Medical Information Bureau background check, which can actually show certain situations where maybe a client was in the hospital, but what it always shows is when the client applied for life insurance. So if you've got a carrier that doesn't like people going from carrier to carrier to carrier, and they do that background check, that MIB, and they see the clients applied for like 10 policies in 3 years, they may not want to have anything to do with them. They probably shouldn't want to have anything to do with them, at least. So your typical final expense companies will do that MIB, and they will do a prescription check, which basically it just pulls up the prescriptions that the clients prescribed. And so what they'll do is they'll base the underwriting on the two of those. I try to write carriers that are going to get me more approvals, and that's why I love final expense. And a lot of the times, and you've got to do your own homework on this, but there's carriers that'll either do an MIB or a prescription check. So they won't even do both of them, which makes it that much easier for you to get your clients qualified. And when I say that, I'm saying that as a non-clean sheeting attitude, by non-clean sheeting, because what happens is, you know, perfect example, a lot of clients will take a high blood pressure medication that could be used for a heart condition. So what happens is, you know, these agents that'll do the clean sheeting, a good example is the client will take carvedilol for congestive heart failure, and the client will tell the agent, oh yeah, I got congestive heart failure, but this is all I take. And the agent will look at that and go, well, this is used for high blood pressure too. So you just got high blood pressure, right, Mr. Jones? Oh, okay, great. And then he'll write that on the application. That's the kind of nonsense that we see a lot in our industry. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this type of bad business, unethical business can be to your benefit, because there is a lot of companies that are a little expensive that what they do is the agents will just write that product. In other words, they won't be independent, they'll be captive. So they'll just write that product. And what they learn, and they learn this through their upline managers, is ways to kind of get around certain things. So I'll give you a perfect example. Years ago, I was getting calls from Lincoln Heritage, and this is when I was already an insurance agent selling final expense. So it's funny, I did something silly. I kind of felt bad about it later, but the truth was, at least I learned something. I learned something really good from it. I filled out no, it wasn't a lead card. I got a phone call, it was a cold call. And I said, sure, you can send a Lincoln Heritage agent over to my home. So, you know, I was probably 47, 48 at the time. So the guy came over and I tested him. I told him that I had some serious breathing problems. And I said, I don't have the inhalers with me, but I do have COPD. And he asked me, how long have you had it for? And I said, well, I've had it for about 3 years, and I've been taking the same meds ever since then. He said, well, the good news is I can give you first day coverage. And I said, well, can I see the application? And I looked at the application, and on the application, it said, in the past, I believe, 24 months, have you been treated for? And it mentioned all kinds of breathing problems, including COPD. I found it interesting that the agent was literally trying to clean sheet for me right then and there. And just to be transparent, I did this on purpose. I wanted to test him because I was considering recruiting him, and that's the truth. So when I saw that he did that, obviously I lost my interest in that, and I called him on it. I let him know who I was, and I apologized. I gave him $30 for the lead, and I basically sent him on his merry way. But being in the business for years, I've come across policies where the company has, here's another example, something to look for, where they would write non-tobacco for a smoker, where I'd be sitting in front of the client and he or she or both of them are smoking in front of me, and they bring me their old policies and it says non-tobacco, non-tobacco, and I show it to them. I'm like, well, Mr. Jones, it says here, have you used any tobacco product in the past 12 months? And then the box, I said, what does that box say? And they would go, oh, it says no. I told the agent that. And I go, yeah, but whose signature is that underneath? And they would see their signature. Easy, easy replacements, guys. Now, let me just say this. Again, even if it's clean sheeted, if it's been more than 2 years, we've gotten past that contestability period, then your client is insured. The carrier has to pay the death benefit no matter what. There's no changing their mind. But if it's within 2 years, which I find a lot of these are, that's an easy replacement sale. And now what you're going to do is legitimately find a really good price company to sell to your client and show them, say, look, it says right there that you smoke, so we're being on the up and up. We're not trying to hide anything, and I'm not doing anything sneaky like that last guy did. And let me close with this. My suggestion, anytime you have a client who has a policy that they purchased, you should always ask them to pull it out, look over the questions. Height and weight, that's another thing that you'll see. Agents are a little funny. You'll see someone who's 300 pounds, all of a sudden on the application it says they weigh 185. Little stuff like that. Just go through the questions. Make sure that the questions were answered correctly. Look, it's not just about replacing and getting yourself a sale from doing the extra work. It's about doing what's right for the client. I mean, that really is what we do. It really comes down to, like I say at the end of my videos, when we put the needs of our clients first, everything else usually falls right into place. So the one thing we want to do is put the needs of the clients first. We want to be upfront and be honest. And remember, we not only are wanting to do what's right for the clients, but we're getting paid through these insurance companies. We got to do the right thing for them also. We've got to do the ethical thing. And we got to be able to go home, and like me, I love it when I can go home at the end of the day and know that I did the right thing for my clients and that I'm going to get a really good night's sleep. For a copy of the I Am Your Policy and the guarantees of whole life insurance that I mentioned earlier in the video, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. If you're interested in selling final expense or life insurance products, or getting into the senior market doing Medicare Advantage sales or selling Medicare supplements, you can email me at that same address. Remember, guys, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. So get on out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.